The light blue line begins at 140 beats per minute and increases until it reaches its maximum, where it cannot increase any more, at 200 beats per minute. In comparison, at the same running speed, the dark blue line begins at 20 beats below the light blue line at 120 beats per minute. It gradually increases at a slower rate and never reaches its maximum heart rate. This means that the person can exercise at a faster pace before they hit their maximum heart rate. Following the exercise program, the person will have a lower resting heart rate. If they have a lower resting heart rate, then the range between the resting and the max heart rate is larger, which gives the athlete the ability to exercise at a higher pace for longer. An increase in breathing rate and tidal volume causes an increase in ventilation. An increase in ventilation means that more carbon dioxide can be exhaled out of the lungs, and more oxygen can be inspired into the lungs. This is useful for an aerobic performer because more oxygen and CO2 is being ventilated, so the body's VO2 will increase. When exercising, our respiratory muscles are used to allow us to inhale and exhale air. Aerobic exercise leads to an increase in muscular endurance of our intercostal muscles. As our muscles become more efficient, they can force more air into the lungs. The air contains oxygen, so there is more oxygen for the hemoglobin to pick up. When the hemoglobin reaches the muscles, there will be a higher gradient because of the high level of oxygen in the blood, so there will be more diffusion into the muscles because there is a greater contrast between the low level of CO2, low level of oxygen in the muscles and the high oxygen in the blood. Also, the respiratory muscles need oxygen to create contractions. When they adapt, they become better at using less oxygen to function, which allows the athlete to have more oxygen to use. Long-term aerobic exercise helps gaseous exchange because there are more capillaries created in the muscles, which means more gaseous exchange can take place. If there is more alveolar diffusion, then there will be more diffusion in the capillaries because there is more oxygen being diffused into the blood, which is getting transported to the muscles. This aids diffusion rates because more oxygen can be diffused at once. Another respiratory adaptation is O2 deficit and EPOC. A trained athlete will not create such a big O2 deficit at the beginning of exercise because they will be more efficient at using oxygen, and therefore the point at which they will be ready to create energy with the aerobic system will be reached sooner. This is an advantage because the aerobic system is less fatiguing than the anaerobic system, which allows you to exercise for longer. In a 1500 metre swimming race, having a smaller oxygen deficit allows the swimmer to move from the anaerobic to the aerobic systems earlier, which conserves oxygen and energy to use working at the top of their submaximal threshold. If I go out too quickly at the beginning of a race, then I feel out of breath and I take time to recover, which means I need to slow down, which ruins my performance for the entire race. The long-term effect of exercise is to build the endurance of the respiratory muscles, allowing deeper, fuller, and more efficient breaths. Aerobic exercise can help protect against COPD development and progression and slow down the decline of lung function. The graph shows that the trained athlete has a larger expiratory reserve volume due to training compared to an untrained athlete. Their expiratory reserve volume is bigger, which means their vital capacity and total lung capacity is larger because the expiratory reserve volume is used in calculating other volumes. No other volumes change apart from the expiratory reserve volume, vital capacity, and total lung capacity. During exercise, untrained adults can ventilate 100 litres per minute. Trained athletes can ventilate 150 litres per minute. By doing regular exercise, you can improve your ventilation. The graph shows the VO2 capacity has improved following adaptation. Pre-exercise, the person needed to use 30 kilograms of O2 to run at 13 km an hour. Post-exercise, the person needed to use 20 kilograms of O2 to run at 13 km an hour. This is a benefit because they can use less oxygen to travel at the same speed.